was a very dramatic intro. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining, Gilbert. It's very cool to have
Yeah,
you
no
here,
worries.
wearing such a special outfit. I love it. Love it. It's I
Cool.
have so many questions for you, of course, and that onesie will definitely be one. Um,
Yeah,
Thanks for joining. Awesome to have you here. Love your blog. Do you want to give a quick intro about who you are and what you do?
yeah, sure, yeah.
Fantastic.
So, my name's Gilbert Quevauvilliers. I'm Microsoft MVP. Work for myself at Formu. Obviously, all the cows, that kind of thing. Been working in the Power BI, I guess, since its inception in the business intelligence space for about 12, 13 years now.
Nice. That is, and of course, owner of an amazing blog with a fantastic name.
Yeah,
I would love to hear the story of your blog's name before I get into it. By the way, because I will talk
yeah,
fantastic things about how much I love it. Please tell the backstory because it's. I mean, really, if you think of all
yeah,
Power BI data type accounts, your name just stands out there. It's a wonderful thing.
yeah. Yeah, so I guess growing up, my name Gilbert is actually French because my dad's from a French descent. So
Mm.
growing up, I was always called Gilbert, which is how you pronounce it, like the French pronounce it.
Okay.
And then I've got this monstrous surname, Cuvivilliers, and I was always like, it's just difficult to my first name. Eventually I just gave up. Said people just call me Gilbert, get over it, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
then I've
Yeah.
got the surname. I've either got to spell or just don't worry about actually talking about it. So when I was looking to start my own company or business, I was like, I need something that's easily to remember. It's not hard to type, not hard to remember.
Mm.
And so I had my kids, and I often call them Moo. So that's where the cow thing kind of came from. And then I look for Tumu. That was taken, and I'm like, three. No, I don't like three. It's just odd. And then I was like, there's four of us in the family.
Mm.
Formu and formu.com was available. So I was like, it's all about
Perfect.
the .com, and pretty much took it up, and then got my brother, who's a graphic designer, to do the design for me.
Very cool. And did you get the onesie specially made, or was that just a wonderful coincidence that you found that somewhere?
I I actually found it. I've got a few onesies, so because it gets quite cold here in winter, and I work from home. So working from home, I don't like to be cold. So I've got a cow's onesie, I've got a crocodile onesie, and I've got a dog onesie.
That is fantastic. I must admit, I actually do. I still own it. I used to have a onesie. Maybe I still do. It was
Yeah,
a lion onesie. It was one of those presents that my dad sent me because he thought he was being funny that I would never wear it. So I got my
yeah,
revenge by definitely wearing it. I wore it to a Halloween
yeah,
party once, even though it has nothing to do with Halloween. I can
yeah, yeah,
I
all right.
respect that love for onesies, mate. Very good.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so to your blog, by the way, I I love it, and I've said it to a few times on people on who I've been speaking to. It's one of those blogs like not normally I learn more by watching videos, watching YouTube
yeah,
videos.
yeah,
However, there's something about your blog, the way you write, that just
yeah,
makes it really easy to understand, which I really appreciate. And
yeah,
there's one particular post which I just checked this morning,
yeah,
which is dated back to 2018, and it's
yep.
creating top N using rank X.
Oh, yep.
I swear I have looked at that page so many times because it's well written. I've got a terrible memory and I'm lazy.
Yeah.
But it's just go to. It's one of my go to articles. It is very very cool. So you have taught me
Awesome.
a lot of DAX. And actually, in this rank X
Yeah,
article, you've written, oh, I've taken
yeah,
this information and this is explained here by SQLBI.
yeah,
But it is somehow the way things are written sometimes, or the level as well. I sometimes need an explainer before I move on to
yeah,
SQLBI.
yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
that served perfectly.
Yeah,
So awesome stuff. So if anyone has never checked out for which I'm sure they have, do
yeah,
so. It's really amazing. So thank you for that. And do you
yeah,
blog
no
often? Like,
worries.
what's the what's the deal with that?
Yeah, so I try blog get one blog out a week.
Okay.
Sometimes it's fun, and sometimes just a bit too busy. life or things get in the way, and or
Of
and I
course.
want to blog about like content that has some value. I just don't want to
Mm,
blog for just for blogging,
yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah,
Mm. It's funny. I actually I saw something you posted the other day, and it was, or maybe it was this morning, related to the where the conditional formatting is in the new format
yeah,
pane, which is something I
yeah,
discussed with Reed a couple of weeks ago
yeah.
because I also couldn't find it. And I was saying it's got this new like cell content, I think it's called something
Cell
like that.
elements.
Cell elements,
Yeah,
which is
yeah. It's
strange
just
terminology. But
yeah,
he
yeah,
even showed me, if you right click on the measure itself, you can access conditional formatting. I never knew that. I
yeah,
swear I've used conditional formatting for how many
yeah,
years, and I never realized if you just clicked on the drop, it could come from
yeah,
there as well. So I
yeah,
think
yeah,
in this age of people moving to the new moving to the new formatting pane, where
yeah,
things have been randomly moved and renamed. The strangest,
yeah.
the one that I've seen, is that it used to be the page width and height used to be the order.
Yep.
Now it's page height and page width.
Oh,
And I don't know
jeez.
why
Yeah.
I don't know why they changed that. And I was typing in, I was like, why is my page a really weird size? I can't get it right.
Yeah.
And I looked, and I was like, okay, that's this why, because they've changed it for no apparent reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, look, even Kerry
Oh, that's
agrees with me.
awesome.
So fantastic. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks,
Cool
Gary.
stuff.
Yeah.
So on a day-to-day basis, like what are you doing? Like, what are you as a Power BI data type person? What do you find yourself doing and enjoying and disliking? These are all the things I'm curious about.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess what I typically start my day with actually is I go first onto the Power BI community and answer a few questions there.
Oh, nice.
I always find not only do you learn from other people, but it's always good to help other people. Some people are just stuck and
Yeah.
they're new and they're not quite sure, or they've got some other a complex question. And then from there, I also read through my Twitter. There's lots of great content, lots of new things. Can't keep up with everything.
Yeah.
Um, at least try and keep up to date with what's going on, or I'll fire things off Twitter to my email so that I can watch it later. If it's videos or blog posts, etc.
Exactly.
And then pretty much get stuck into whatever work I need to, get done for the day. Pretty much all in Power BI all day, every day.
Yeah.
Different
Yeah.
things around that. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Do you find that your focus switches with mood? Like, for example, I've realized recently that my one of my focuses is switched back to Power Query, just out of frustration of people not using it enough. So I've spent the past few weeks just really just like
Yeah.
really focusing down on Power Query and learning doing stuff there. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, well, it depends on the work I'm doing, and I guess that's where the blogs, the blogging came up as I've just always been of the belief of I document everything, and
Yeah,
I document it once, document it properly, and then whenever you got to go back, even if it's in 2 years' time, you just follow it step by step, and you're going to get the same result. So,
fair
so
point.
for me, yeah, I just move around depending. Sometimes I'll spend days, as you say, in Power Query trying to figure things out, and other times it's a
Mm,
customer, they've got some weird and wonderful measure that they've created in Excel that they now want, you've got to port it across to Power BI
mm,
and just
mm.
trying to figure it out and hitting your head and going, this DAX is it's just wrong, but the DAX is never wrong. It's me that's wrong.
Of course. But it feels better to blame the DAX though, right?
Absolutely.
You could say the DAX is wrong. You know it's right, but you make some changes just to improve it,
Yeah,
and then it works again. So then technically you were right, and the DAX was wrong.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Love
it's
it.
like a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, for sure. I think everyone has that pretty much similar relationship with DAX, to be honest, unless
Yeah,
unless
absolutely.
you're extraordinarily advanced. But I think most of us spend a lot of times. For me, it's most recently because I've been, as I've mentioned many times, working more with Deneb and stuff, looking
Yeah.
for my own typos. I've never had to use my keyboard quite so much and switch between square brackets and curly brackets
Oh,
and commas.
yeah.
Um, and I think it's a weird thing to have a job where your day can be ruined by a comma.
And a
Um,
cat. Yeah,
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 it's just so frustrating. You're looking for like an extremely long time. It's
yeah,
like, what have I done?
yeah,
Look at the code, or
yeah,
what, and then oh no, everything's fine other than the fact that the comma isn't exactly where it should be, or
yeah. or there's two commas somewhere and it's
Yeah,
breaking the whole
yeah,
script and you just can't see, especially like if you're working in Power Query and you
mm,
in the advanced editor,
yeah.
it's somewhere you click and
Mm. I always used to
yeah,
think like the skill set like that what my mum did. She was a secretary, and she could
yeah,
type extraordinarily quickly and really accurately, which is what
yeah,
I absolutely cannot do. And I always think, yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to. I don't need to have that. I would love to have my mum's typing skills now, so I could just type
yeah,
away a bit of whatever I'm doing and just know that it's. Or no, even when I'm recording a video and I have to like
yeah,
record the same section twice because I like make a ridiculous typo. It's just
yeah, yeah.
it's bizarre. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I found when recording for events and that kind of stuff, lately I actually just leave the errors in because that's what happens when you're presenting real, oh, there's this and sometimes I
Mm,
find it's just showing you just like everyone else, you don't have this perfect, you know, and everyone's different. I'm just like, oh,
it's true.
I'm far from perfect, and
Yeah.
it's always like, it's only like half a minute or something that you might go, oh, and
Yeah.
then come back.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, I have to
Yeah.
get more comfortable that sort of thing. As I
Yeah.
progress, as I do more, I'll get more used to it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, sorry, just go back to conditional formatting here. Okay, I never do it on the format pane. I always do from the value as well. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. I never did it from
Yep.
the value as well. Honestly,
No,
it's one of those things that maybe I did know, then I forgot about because I did the other way. But from where I'm standing now, I just didn't know about it. I'd never ever done it that way before.
no, I'm the same as you. I'm clearly not as smart as Jeff, doing it always
Well,
from the right click.
is anyone as smart as Jeff?
No, I think Jeff's the smartest.
Yeah, absolutely. In it. I'm going to ask East, if it's okay. He wants you to pronounce his surname again, if that's okay. You couldn't hear it at the
Yeah, yeah,
start.
yeah. Yeah, sure. It's Quevauvilliers. Just blocked
Quevauvilliers.
in. Yeah, yeah. It looks
Nice.
long and terrible, but yeah, it's just
It looks
three
wonderful,
dots.
mate. Don't say such a thing. It looks when you've got a name like Ben Ferry, which is the most like, just can I get
Yeah,
like an extra syllable or something? I'm not sure. Ben Ferry.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. My wife says Hallie. She's got a much more interesting name than me. My kids have all got three names. I've only got two names. So yeah.
Yeah, me too. I've got two. My parents are like, your first name and your surname was long enough, no middle name. That's what my mom said.
That's fair. Oh man.
Yeah.
So can I ask just?
But
I'm always curious about like people's backgrounds and where they come from, how they arrived where they are now. Is if
yeah.
you could share that story, that'd be wonderful to hear.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. So I guess once I left school, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I just, one of those things. And then a good friend of mine said, "Oh no, he's doing a 1 year PC engineering class at which is just like a diploma." So I thought,
Mm,
I've always enjoyed computers, that kind of stuff. So started in that. Then got into the hardware side,
mm,
eventually getting up managing infrastructure of computers. So I understand very well how they work, the hardware, the software, all that kind of
mm.
stuff. And at that point in time, I was living in Cape Town in South Africa,
Oh wow.
and originally from Durban. And then I wanted to move back to Durban. There was a good company in Durban, so I got a job at this company in Durban. And what happened there is also almost like an infrastructure, but one of the tasks was for a week, you had to read through text log files for errors. And I was just sitting
Wow.
there watching this guy, and I was literally falling asleep at my desk watching him. I'm like, this is just so inefficient. There's got to be a better way. You can't just sit there reading literally
Mm,
a notepad worth of thing every day.
mm,
And so then I started using reporting services basically to try and get the data right, get into
mm,
some format, and slowly from there, eventually got more to reporting services and integration services, and started going, oh, what's this business intelligence thing? And was fortunate, it was quite a large company. I was able to switch. I literally had to make a decision: do I want to stay on the infrastructure side or do I want to go the business intelligence route? So I went the business intelligence route and pretty much started with that. Did the whole multi-dimensional cubes. Had to
yeah.
learn, teach that all myself. There was no one else in the organization who could help me. So it
Fantastic.
was a lot of hard learnings, and I read a lot of Chris Webb's blogs initially because he was the only one who had a fair amount of content out of that.
Yeah.
And then this well, I guess the Power Pivot Excel came out. I mean, oh, what's this?
Mm,
Was using Power View and saw Power Pivot started using that. When, oh, this is pretty cool, makes things easier, quicker.
mm,
And then when Power BI came out, what's the Power BI Designer, I think,
okay.
and still remember downloading the first version, opening it up, getting so lost, just like when you have a new product, your head is just spinning.
Mm,
It's like there's
mm,
so much here, I don't know what's going on. It
mm,
looks cool, but I don't know.
sure.
And slowly, luckily, because when you're at the start, there's so many, it seems fast, but there's a progress, and then
Of course.
learning more decks, learning about Power Query as it evolved
Mm,
over time, and then pretty much just keep on reading, learning, and getting
yeah,
stuck into the weeds, and
sure.
literally just enjoying it, reading every single white paper I could on all this kind of stuff, just diving down
Cool.
the rabbit hole, so to
Yeah,
say.
nice.
Yeah,
I enjoy how many stories involve someone thinking there has to be a better way, and
yeah,
then that takes them down the path of this learning. It comes up quite often, actually, and I always appreciate it because it's kind of what happened to me as well.
yeah,
And it kind of makes you think the sort of people who are involved in the area that we're involved in, and how they
yeah,
think, not just the fact that they do think, but they're
yeah,
always like looking for something better, for a different
yeah,
solution, which kind of drives. And it's a cool thing, kind of, for me, in some way, like explains the maybe the community a little bit, like the
yeah,
sharing of saying you could do it this way, I can do this. Have you tried that?
yeah, yeah,
That's quite
absolutely.
cool. That's quite nice.
Yeah, yeah, no, awesome.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And so that led you to obviously where you are now with Power BI, etc. And
Yeah.
yeah, is there anything that when you work with it, you kind of always wish that you could improve? Like any like like not yourself, but the tool itself, like something that on a daily basis or frequently, like, okay, that's okay, but this could really help me out. Like one of the sort of thing that you find on the idea site or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think the because now they've got this third party integration, say into
Hmm.
Power BI. Back in the day, just things like say just formatting the measures, because it's a lot easier to read, and if someone else opens it up, those
Hmm.
kind of things in the past, they have to copy paste, copy paste, copy
Yeah.
paste, copy
Sure.
the measure, so those kind of things have made the world of difference just for making it easier and quicker, and
Hmm.
all of those kind of things. So I mean, there's always Matt. I'm amazed to see Matt's awake. He's so old, I thought he'd still be sleeping.
Nice.
Yeah, we have this ongoing banter. Hopefully you'll have a chuckle. Yeah, and yeah, it's for me. I don't know. I typically just guess, that you can't build everything in a day,
Hmm.
kind of thing. And a lot of the things sometimes that people uh, complain about, or they still got to build it. I mean, it's only what's it 7 years old.
Hmm.
Uh, I think it's come a long way in such a short amount of time compared to like
Of course.
Excel and that, which has been going on forever.
Hmm.
And there's only so many resources that they can have to build things. So, and it's a tough one,
It is
and
for
you
sure.
often see people going, oh, it should do this, and it should do that, but it's much better than a lot of other products. And for me, as you've said, having a community of people around it to help you and figure things out. And
Hmm.
sometimes there are limitations, but nine out of I'd say almost every time with data and that, there's always a way. I've never not found a way. Sometimes it
Oh
takes
yeah.
longer,
Sometimes it's
but
ugly,
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
but it
You know,
works.
yeah, yeah,
If you,
exactly.
as long as you can hide the ugly and people are happy with the end result, it kind of that counts as a win, right? I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's always our favorite answers. It depends. You know, because it
Yeah.
depends if that they're happy and it works and it's
Hmm.
reliable and it's consistent, well, that's
Hmm.
that's good enough, you know.
Sure. Though I've got to say, recently I've been. I mean, I could be well off here. Again, going back to my current mini obsession with Power Query. I mean, I've always loved Power Query.
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah,
started with Power Query before, so Power BI, and I think
yeah,
it's amazing. I think it's vital. I think it's underused. But I do think
mm,
sometimes that it's like, even from Microsoft, it seems quite overlooked, or maybe not
mm,
given the attention it deserves. And I'm not just talking
absolutely.
about like, please make M IntelliSense better, but seriously,
Yep.
please make M IntelliSense better.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why it's so hidden sometimes.
Yep.
It's and even just before, I think like today I was involved in a mini conversation about the power. This is ridiculous. The Power BI logo stroke icon. I don't care what you call it
Yeah. Yeah.
on the Twitter handle. For
Yeah.
me, that's kind of like a weird representation of that, because it kind of
Yeah.
looks like I created that on using some kind of Microsoft Paint back in 2005.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's just, where's the focus when you,
Yeah.
even when you open Excel? Why isn't there like a really huge
Mm,
Power Query button? I wish Microsoft
yeah.
themselves would put the focus on that too. I'm not sure. I mean,
Uh, yeah. Well, I've been hearing this for years and being involved in conversations. When we used to go to the MVP summit and we
hmm,
all sitting in the room. There's like all the MVPs. There's loads
hmm,
of us, and guys still say they're going to a training.
hmm,
Some guys who do more training, say for instance, Matt, and then open up and say, "Here's Power. Who's heard of Power Query?" And then like two people put up their hand out of a room of like 20. And we keep
crazy.
on saying, it's a great tool. It's
Hmm,
awesome. It does, it makes people's life so much easier and
hmm,
quicker. And, there's so much positive for it. How come it's still like this, almost like this hidden feature
hmm,
that it's there if you know where to look. As you
yeah,
say, it's not like bang. Excel, you're going to start with data, start here,
yeah.
you know, kind of thing. Absolutely.
It's like, I understand it's because it's not really a program in its own right. It's like an extra. It's a whatever. It's not an
Yeah.
add-on, but it's, I'm not sure what I want to call it. But you have to use Excel to use Power
Yeah.
Query. You have to use Power BI to use Power. And I think even in,
Yeah.
no, I think I'm wrong about this. I think I said this one before, but I was wrong. But even in Power BI, people don't call it Power Query. It's called the Query
Yeah.
Editor or something. It's Power
Yes,
Query.
it is. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sitting right
Yeah.
there. And and
Yeah.
because I'm such a stubborn person sometimes, even when I use Power BI, I'm not going to call it the Query Editor, because it's not. It's
Yeah.
Power Query,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. No.
you need to know about it, because if you don't, then you're doing yourself a disservice. I mean,
Yeah.
actually, this kind of loops around what we were talking about before, when you were saying about, there had to be a better way. How many
Yeah.
times have you been working with someone and they're doing this monthly task or this weekly task, and like, oh, this sucks, copy and paste.
Yeah.
Surely there's a better way than this. Like, dude, that there literally is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
right there in the
Yeah.
program. And unless people, I mean, you can train people for sure,
Yeah.
and show them use cases, but it's
Yeah.
a strange thing. So I don't want to go on about it too much,
Yeah.
but I get like quite.
Yeah. Well, I have a working example where I was consulting for an organization, and they're exactly that. One person spent a whole week, 5 days out of every month,
Mm,
getting all this thing, copy pasting into Excel. And I was just like, oh, geez, imagine every Monday you come on the first day of the month, your first week, you're going to literally copy paste. And I managed to using Power Query,
mm,
got it all working.
mm,
And that person, got 5 days back every month. And now instead of having the report once a month, they're getting it daily,
exactly.
as you say. And that's a massive change for organization, not only efficiency, they're like, oh, no, we only do get it once a month.
Mm,
She said, "Oh no, you can have it every day if you want." They're like, "What do you mean every day?" It's like, "No,
mm.
you just got to refresh it." You know,
Yeah,
such an
that's the
advantage.
thing. When people see that, when you take them through, all the applied steps, and so you do this, and then they ask, okay, so how do you do it? It's like, well, you press the button, you
Yeah,
refresh, and then you're
yeah,
done. You know.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, of course, as everyone here is agreeing, it's a
yeah,
huge thing. It needs to be more looked at. But I mean, even from the employees, the colleague perspective,
yeah,
you can't blame them for sure, because I mean, if you don't know about it, and you can't go and click everywhere. I mean, I forget how I
yeah.
learned about Power Query. Again, it's because
Mm,
there is,
mm.
you have to go to, was it get data or something, and then from
Yeah,
table, and then
yeah, yeah,
it's like three clicks or something to get there.
yeah, yeah,
So because Excel is a tool that people have been using for years, and they've been doing the same thing, and then people
yeah,
say, "Oh, I use VLOOKUP," and they go, oh, "VLOOKUP, that's old school. You want to be using index match," and that's basically what it comes
yeah,
down to,
yeah,
if you're not the sort of person who explores, then why would you? And that's reasonable. That's a reasonable way of working. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
No.
Yeah, Power
One
Query's
of
the
those
robot.
mysteries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's the advanced god of those robot taking out jobs. Yeah, there's always that terror of automation that someone's gonna get fired, but it never happens because there's 1,000 other
No.
jobs waiting to be done.
Exactly. There's always more. That's exactly what I say is once you start, because people often come in, I'm the consultant, the big bad bear, I'm going to automate things. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no, you got to realize it's going to make your life easier,
Mm,
but give you more work at the same time. That's easier work, because you
yeah.
can automate this stuff and
Yeah.
using Power Query and that. So, yeah, absolutely.
And as we've seen, as a lot of people say, it can also help you advance your career. I mean, if you look at it, if someone helps you the way forward, and then you can start implementing that yourself, it can
Yeah.
make you, for want of a better word, it can make you look quite awesome. Look, I've
Yeah,
taken,
absolutely.
I've taken all this,
Yeah,
and
me
look
too.
what I can do now. I was like, oh my god, it's amazing. Can you show me and stuff? And yeah, I'll go about this X lookup. Maybe then I still haven't done X lookup. Maybe that should be my New Year's resolution for March. X lookup, maybe Ben. One day,
Yeah, yeah.
no idea.
No
X,
idea either.
but this is the thing. Excel is actually getting so much love recently. It's getting so much
Yeah,
new updates. It's getting new things that I'm not aware about. I should myself probably go back to Excel and do some schooling, because when I open Excel,
yeah,
maybe it's a bit advanced for. I mean, I was never that good at Excel, to be honest.
yeah, no.
Um, sometimes like my wife, if
Yeah,
she works in finance, and we both work at home,
yeah,
and she's like,
yeah,
"Oh, can I ask a question? Can you do this? And can you show me?" And today,
yeah,
today, for example, I've got the pivot table,
yeah.
but it won't let me do distinct count. I was like, okay, I
Ah,
don't know. I was like, I don't
yeah,
really understand that. So I look, and there
yeah,
was no option for distinct count. So I had to go on
yeah,
someone's blog post, and you have to
yeah,
add
yeah,
it to the. I was like, I don't know. I don't. If it's
yeah,
Excel,
yeah,
no,
yeah. Oh, listen, these days, if it's Excel, I'll take the Excel and put it into Power BI and then use Power Query and mash it up the way I want it, and then it's easy for me.
exactly,
That's a quicker and easier way.
for sure. I remember about a year ago, someone was saying, "Oh yeah, can you just quickly do this like VLOOKUP to like just two really small tables?" And the fact that I could put them both as tables, put them both as queries, then merge them together, and then reload the data like just as
Yeah,
fast as they could do a normal VLOOKUP, which in some cases it's perfectly fine to do because it's a nice quick thing. But if I can do
yeah,
those
yeah,
things and know how to do it quickly, I'm going to do it all the time, every single
yeah,
time.
exactly. Yeah,
See,
absolutely.
exactly. As Christian says, well, about changing his career
Yeah,
for project management.
that's awesome.
I mean, Power Pivot is something that completely passed me by because I
Yeah,
never got into it, because I think I started on Power Query, and because I had Power Query, I didn't really look at Power Pivot. And I think I've mentioned before that I think the user interface always upset me because it wasn't particularly nice.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, it does, it changes career. You speak to a lot of people and they say, okay, yeah, I started doing this, and then my
yeah.
career went in this direction. It's awesome to hear.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, yeah.
And
Definitely has.
you're one of those people. I mean, a few years ago, how many years ago it was, you decided there has to be a better way, and then X number of
Yeah.
years later, you're sitting dressed as a cow with your own awesome blog. This is just the way
Exactly.
life works, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It takes you on these weird and wonderful ways. There's no ways I'd ever be like, oh yeah, yeah. Oh, in a few years' time, I'll be working from home, sitting in a cow onesie.
I do love that. It's so cool.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
Do you use your website that way as like a marketing type tool, like to kind of like see, this is what I can do, and this is my blog posts, and check me out and all my work, that kind of stuff? I'm curious just because I don't have anything like
Yeah,
myself.
yeah. No, I mean, I actually, it definitely helps when you, you potentially go into a new customer and
Hmm.
they're like, they're trying to understand what value you can bring in that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And if you have someone in the room that says, "Oh, I've been to your blog," all of a sudden, that just gives you a bit
Hmm.
more credibility. And for me, it's also around just the blog is always for me is to just give back. Is
Yeah.
to help other people. Like I read other people's blogs and I go, "Oh, that saved me hours of time. It makes
Hmm.
sense." And likewise, if I can do that,
Yeah.
and
Nice.
yeah, the site's just is fortunate to be in a position where I think for all of us, yeah, there is a lot of work around at the moment. Data is the new gold. and people are looking for how can we get access to that data, do it quicker, better, and more efficient. And to be fair, like I've had some customers who I haven't seen in years, and they'll be like, "Oh, that thing you created for us is still right, is still working, and we're still
Wow,
using it every day."
that's
And I
cool.
created that years ago, and nothing else has changed. And it's just it's so reliable, which is credit, I guess, to Microsoft and the Power BI team for building something that is pretty reliable, compared to a lot of other products, to be fair.
No, no, absolutely. It's true. I mean, this is the reliability is also one of the things that I kind of fall back to the Paul Power query because it doesn't really break.
Yeah,
You have to do
yeah,
something to the source data, or you have to
yeah,
go into the query to make it break. If it exists, it's kind of refresh or be refreshable. If that's a word,
yeah, yeah,
refreshable
yeah,
for a long time.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It's fantastic. I
Yeah.
really like this question from Kerry, by the way, because I never thought about that's a good question. I want to know that as well. Have you ever worn your cow onesie to the supermarket?
Well, no, but I would.
Yeah, you should.
I don't have any problems. I mean, my customers in winter, this is what I wear in a
That's
meeting.
awesome.
I don't get changed. They have a good chuckle because they'll see me coming on. And go, oh, it's winter again. Because then I've got onesie on.
That's awesome. I want my
Yeah.
company to kind of give you some consultancy work just so I can sit with you in a Teams meeting where you want to. It'd be fantastic. You could also walk it if you're
Oh
going
yeah.
like on like a country stroll. You could walk it, and you could wear it and maybe scare the livestock. That could be quite interesting as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I actually go typically, I'm sure you know yourself, you're indoors all day working, head down, computer, the world flashes by you. So what I do now is living in Australia is after I have lunch, I just go for like a 10-minute walk, just get outside,
Yeah.
leave everything behind. And
Hmm.
in summer or winter, if this is winter, I'll go for a walk in my onesie outside. I People must think I'm crazy because in summer, all I've got on, it's hot, and all I have on is a pair of pants, no top, no
Um,
shoes, and
yeah,
that's how I go.
fair enough,
So
mate.
yeah, I think the neighborhood must think I'm mad.
I'm sure they word it much more nicely than that.
Yeah,
I think eccentric is the word, right?
yeah, probably right.
That's class. Yeah, I having a dog helps me with my daily walks because if I don't take him for a walk for 15 minutes 3 times a day, he will piss on
Yeah.
somewhere in the front room because he's
Uh,
just like that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah.
he's very
No, that's
stubborn like that.
yeah.
So yes, but you're quite right. You kind of sometimes I'll be sitting because actually uh, you might you might think that my face looks this strange color because it's like and the lighting. I'm like one
Yeah.
of the world's palest human beings, but I also have very pink cheeks at the same time, which
uh,
means basically direct sunlight is not my friend in any way whatsoever. And I
yeah,
sit in the attic and I have a
yeah,
window right here, which I've actually, instead of
yeah,
putting a blind on it, I've literally screwed in a plank of wood to the window so the sun can't come through because I just can't be
yeah.
dealing
Oh
with,
wow.
especially like in Berlin, it gets hotter than you think in the summer. In Berlin, in the summer, it gets to like,
Yeah.
37, 38 degrees and it's like really
Oh,
sticky heat coming through the window.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
can't be doing that. So this is just me. I can't see the weather all day. If it's
yeah,
raining, if it's whatever. So I'll go
yeah,
outside and
yeah,
just see what it's like. And I'm wearing maybe like shorts and it's like
yeah.
5 degrees. Like, no, I got that one wrong. I
Oh,
judged it terribly. So
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I agree. Helpful to get outside,
Oh
mate.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's good.
Oh man. Yeah, sorry, just going to back to the comments a little bit here. Learn Power BI. There are heaps of jobs with great salaries. That is very true. Of course, we don't do it for
Yeah.
the money. We do. I'm just joking. But yeah,
Absolutely.
there are heaps of jobs. To be honest, it's a cool thing. And
Yeah.
quite surprised at the amount of jobs that they'll also still say like the job requirements will be like Word. I mean Word, Excel.
Yeah.
Like it'll be
Yeah.
tough to find someone who actually has never used Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel in 2022.
Yeah.
And because my wife's actually currently looking for a job, she's
Yeah.
sending some CVs around and stuff. I've been looking with her, and
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat myself. I do apologize. The amount of jobs
That's
that
all
say
right.
Excel, but the amount of jobs that say Excel but don't say Power Query, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you have to get one of these jobs, and you have to teach them
Yeah.
Power Query, so that the next job application that says also says Power Query. Okay, you have to
Yeah.
get that in that company. Okay. I'll stop
Yeah.
repeating my Power Query obsession at the moment. At the moment, for me, it's either Power Query or it's Deneb. So I mean, pick one to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, well, while you are having a drink there, what I find interesting is I've helped quite a few organizations, look for staff, and you get their CVs and they've got 10 years of Power BI experience,
Ah,
you know.
that's a good
And
one. Yeah,
I go, yeah,
special.
and I asked them in the question, when you interview
Mm.
them, say, oh yeah, so, how long, can you explain how you've been using Power BI for 10 years? Yeah, no, I've just used it for 10 years, and you go, it's a bit of a weird one.
Maybe they helped create Power BI before it even knew it existed. They were the original program, came up with with the concept idea. I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's. I think it sucks. I think CVs. I've been discussing this with a
yeah,
couple of colleagues who I know have sending CVs out and stuff, and
yeah.
CVs suck. I mean, applying for jobs
Mm.
is just the worst. And I've
Oh,
seen,
absolutely.
and I'd forgotten about it because I hadn't done it for a few years, and I don't intend to do
Yeah,
it. Hopefully for a while, unless they make me do it.
yeah,
When you like have your CV all written up, and then you put it on the job portal, and then you need your goddamn cover letter that they insist on having, and then on top
yeah,
of that,
yeah,
they have all these forms like these sections. Now fill in your job experience for the past 5 years. It's like, but it's on my CV.
yeah,
If
yeah,
it's on my
yeah,
CV, why do I also have to like put it in your portal? So
yeah,
because I'm a very
yeah,
grumpy person, I'm like, yeah, I'm just not applying for that job.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm just like, well, there's my CV. That's what
Yeah,
it is. I'll copy and paste from my CV and I'll just repeat it.
yeah,
I'm like,
for sure.
I'm not going to rewrite it again, as you say. It's just,
No.
take it for what it is.
But this is a nice question. I like this. What are your best
Yeah.
interview questions to sort the wheat from the chaff? Go for it. I bet they're brutal.
What I often do is I'll evaluate what they've said in the CV, because if someone says they're an expert, well, then I'm going to ask expert questions, you
Yeah,
know, because I don't put on my CV that I'm an expert, because I'm not an, e- I feel like I know a fair bit, but I'm far from an expert. I know where to find the answers, but it's not like I just, so, so for me, I've often, and I'll ask those questions, and I'll be like, so, some basic things will be like, how does Power BI get such good compression?
yeah,
And it's not, there's an easy answer, and you can keep on going down levels and levels, and depending on where you are, you know,
mm,
um, and if they're an expert, I'll say, okay, well, what is, what are like segments, and you can keep on going, and you just keep on going down the rabbit hole.
mm,
But typically, you can just start off with me as Matt asks in the interview questions. Is I typically just start off with like, what is DAX? And then you can see from there. Oh,
yeah,
it's an expression language. And you
mm,
don't have to go on and on. And for me, it's just finding those things. Or sometimes it'll just be like, so what is your favorite Power BI feature?
nice.
Oh,
Yeah,
there's so many, and I'm not quite sure. And I'm like, well, you clearly don't use a product that often, because there'll be
mm,
something you go like, I love Power
yeah,
Query, as
yeah,
Ben would say. You know what I mean? And you go, okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. No, it's a. Actually, I agree. This is a good question. It's a nice question. Um,
Yeah,
I also think it's really interesting that you raised that point about when people call themselves Power BI experts. Now, I should
yeah,
apologize if anyone who is ever watches this or is watching this now does this. I apologize, but it kind of gets for me. It's kind of a bad sign when someone calls himself an expert
yeah,
because unless you know a lot, like have an extremely deep knowledge about multiple parts of Power BI, you're
yeah,
not an expert. And that's just, I know this is just my opinion, but it's just something
yeah,
about someone who calls himself an expert that just kind of makes me think, let's have a look at this.
yeah, yeah. That almost, I go, well, I want to challenge you on that. And
Yeah, yeah,
and on an interview, I can ask two questions and you pretty much know. And after that, I'll just conclude the interview. If they can't answer those questions, I go, oh, okay. Any other questions you got? Because I'm wasting my time. There's
I
just no
love it.
point.
That is nicely brutal. It's a bit brutal, but it's not over the top. Yeah, okay, very
Yeah.
cool.
And typically, I do suggest to organizations you do technical interviews first. So
Mm,
you can just weed them out very quickly. Depending on, junior, senior,
of
or
course,
wherever,
yeah,
and then you can just do the technical, and you can go, if you're looking for senior, let's say they've got 5 years worth of experience, you ask a couple questions. they can't answer those questions. You go, no, not good enough. It's a 10-minute conversation. You got any questions for me? No, I'm fine, thanks. Okay, we'll be in touch.
Yeah.
You know,
Fair enough.
it's unfortunate, but it's how it goes.
No, it happens in this. There's a lot of people out there, so you can do it. Look at this. I'm doing the PL 300 exam today. If you don't hear back from me, you can assume it didn't go. I'm sure it'll go fantastic. Good luck, mate.
Yeah,
I absolutely
yeah,
do not have the courage to do that, so I respect. So I respect you for doing it. I'm sure it'll be fantastic. Is it
yeah. I'm going to do
from
it at some point.
just from the start of this month? It changed to the PL 300, right? It was from February. It was still
Yes,
the DA 100. Now PL.
100. Yeah, I haven't even looked at the PL 300 to be honest, but I did the DA 100. Well, I just thought, well, hopefully I know enough. Just took a chance and I did pass, but
Nice,
I just went over overview, and you even then you still got to prepare a bit.
of
Like
course.
you
Yeah,
say, you don't know everything, all the touch points that they're gonna look at.
you should do a blog post on the experiences. This is a good point. Why not?
Yeah, yeah,
I wonder if the PL 300 is 3 times harder than the DA 100. I'm not sure. I don't want to scare
uh, yeah.
anyone
I
away.
haven't even looked at it. Yeah, so I don't want to comment because I haven't even looked.
I haven't even looked actually what the comparison, the differences are
Yeah,
between the two. But yes, we'll see at some point. Maybe I should try and I'll do it at some point. Of course, I won't tell anyone because I'm scared.
yeah,
What about growing talent? Possibly cheaper to grow someone to a. Yeah, this is a fair point actually. Yeah,
yep,
to grow someone to a competent Power BI user than retrain someone who has bad habits. That's a fair point.
yep. Oh, absolutely. I'm all for like when I go to organizations, I'm like, I'm not coming here. I don't want to be the black box that comes in, does some magic, leaves, and then when you need help, you've got to get me back in. Maybe for the more complex things, that you're really struggling with. But it's the same thing. I'll try to, you want to go in there, you want to educate people, help people, make it easier so that they can actually do some of the work themselves. Uh, and
Sure.
and and then they can train themselves. And if it starts to bite, well, then there's loads of resources, whether that's paid or free, for them to learn more and just keep on advancing, like, and growing.
But at the same time, putting the two things together, what you mentioned, saying someone who is an expert and then not knowing what you'd expect, and then employing that person and then helping them grow. If someone
Yeah,
has selling themselves as one thing and aren't that thing,
yeah,
it's difficult to turn
yeah,
around and say, okay, you're not what I thought you'd be, but we're going to take you
yeah,
anyway and help you grow. Because it's nice. It's good when someone kind of maybe like knows their level, and that also shows like
yeah,
a willingness to learn. It's good. It's very
yeah,
important for me to also identify what you can't do. Um,
yeah,
which I do on a
yeah,
daily basis when
absolutely.
I can find out all the things that I can't do.
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, and for like, oh, I'm just
Yeah,
going to
no.
keep. This is an interesting conversation. Further, just how do you keep people? Also, a good question because there's lots of jobs out there.
Yeah. Well, I do listen to a lot of blog posts, a lot of podcasts actually
Mm,
around business and that type of thing. And one of the biggest things is the culture of a company
mm,
pays massively. I've worked at quite a few different companies where there's been good culture, and I've worked at companies where the culture's been absolutely terrible.
mm,
And if you have that good culture where you feel like you're part of the company, you're part of the team, you all work into the common goal, that that definitely helps. It's not everything, because we still, you know effectively, someone is paying for our time, and we need the
mm,
money to do things. So how much you get paid always comes in.
mm,
But there also comes a point where someone can offer you 5 times your salary, and it can be a terrible job where you just, people are shouting at you all day, this and that, and it doesn't matter what the salary is, you're just going to say, I'm out. There'll
yeah,
come a point when it doesn't
mm,
matter what it is. So for me, it's a combination of making sure they're market related, because often you go into an organization at market related, and then year on year they give you this tiny increase, but the market is doing this above,
yeah,
and then you're like, well, just pay me that. Oh no, we
yeah,
can't pay that. You're like, well, if you replace me, you're going to pay someone that, you know. So,
mm.
sorry, excuse me.
Oh, all
As
good,
well
mate.
as yeah, as well as yeah, just that culture, and what they spoke to earlier about growing. That culture of growing people
Mm,
within the organization. Oh, you want to go on training? Right, we'll send you on training. We're going to help you. Because you going on training means you can do your job better, cheaper,
yeah,
etc.
for sure.
And there's all those things that often, just chatting to people while they're leaving their jobs. Oh, my manager's just terrible. He just expects too much, wants me to work late.
Yeah.
I asked for an increase. Oh, there's no increase, but I can see I work on the financials and the company's made like 20% year on year.
Yeah, there's always that. I mean, when you have access to the data, you kind of see what's going on,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, they sometimes forget
Um,
that.
yeah,
Yeah, so and it is a challenge to keep people, but I've always found is you've got to have like this give and take, you know,
mm,
where
yeah,
sometimes and that comes down to a manager where I've managed people also is you got to be flexible. The world's changed after COVID anyway, about being
sure.
flexible and doing your time, and you put all
Yeah,
those things together.
it's true. I mean, for me, obviously, where we work in as well. I mean, for me, the ability to work from home continuously is
Yeah.
huge. It's worth, if you want to put it in terms of salary and stuff, that
Mm,
itself is
mm,
worth quite a lot.
yeah.
Because if someone comes along and offers me X amount more, I'm gonna say, okay,
Mm,
but I have to go to the office. I'm like, okay, is that
yep.
X amount more worth having to go to the office every day and not see my kids as much and not being able to pick them up
Yep.
from all that kind of stuff?
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so there's certainly
Absolutely.
more things to take into account and different things that people care about. So it's probably harder as
Yeah.
well now to keep people, because you have to look at
Oh,
a range of different things.
yeah. Absolutely. And that's exactly
Interesting.
it. I'm the same as you. I'm like, I'm never going to work permanently in office again. It's just not happening. The answer is
Exactly.
just no. I'm happy to go in every so often and help,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in and out every so often, but
Hmm.
don't expect me to work permanently in an office.
Do you know this meme of Grandpa Simpson kind of walking into the I think it's the local brothel, and
Yeah.
Bart Simpson's sitting there, and he kind of walks in,
Yeah.
puts his hat on, he walks and he sees Bart, and he walks back out, and he puts his hat back on. And I was
Yeah.
just thinking, that's me. If they're making me do that, walk out, work in the office once a week, that's kind of like me. Just walk in, put my
Yeah.
hat down, put my hat on, and just go
Yeah.
home. It's like, I've been here, thank you very much, and goodbye. You know?
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah.
certifications is an interesting one because I don't. I think for me, this falls in the same bracket as like formal education. Like, how is important is someone who's studied what they do. For me,
Yeah.
therefore, I would say not particularly. If as long as you can
Yeah.
show that you can do the job well.
Yeah. So for me, what I value for certifications is obviously there's grants to doing the certification, but typically those you have to do in your own time. You've got to
Yeah.
have the drive to do it. You've got to do it in your
Mm,
own time,
mm,
to get it all done. So it just shows that they also, while it's definitely not critical, sometimes it just shows if I'm looking at two candidates,
yeah.
they're
Okay.
very similar, and one has done a certification, and I don't expect 10 certifications,
Sure.
like because some people also just do it just to have, sometimes they go, oh, 10 certifications. You
Mm.
could just be really good at, you're really good at studying, but
Yeah.
not
Yeah. Yeah.
implementing.
Yeah.
They're two fundamentally different things.
Mm.
And sometimes I do look at that and go, oh, okay, that just shows they've got some initiative, and
That's a fair
they
point.
can, especially when you ask the question, say, oh, how did you do the certification? Did you do it on your own, or was it through
Mm.
work? And no, I went on my own. I did it. You go, oh, okay, well, you've actually had to
That's cool. Yeah.
um, put some time and effort in.
Nice point. Nice point. I'm going
Yeah,
to go back up to this question from, because apparently there's a backstory here. I've learned by reading the chat. I'm trying to get better at reading the chat. Liam used to be an
yeah.
intern for Jeff, but they wouldn't keep him. So Liam went to a
Ah,
different department, and now I think that is correct. Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what I read. So, and Liam wants to know: is it worth paying the instructor, or can you just do it with the free resources? And I suppose the same question for the DA 100, not just the PL 300. Any,
yeah. Well, I
I
would
don't know.
say for me was I felt like I had enough working experience, and you can go through the content.
Hmm.
And if you've like with me, I went, okay, say it's power, a little bit of Power Query, a little bit of Power BI, a little bit of DAX, a little bit of the service. You're like, okay, I touch on that every day, or I'm using
Hmm.
it all every week. I'm pretty confident. But in some places, they've now Power BI has got so big, you might only do the reporting, or you might only do the modeling, the DAX. You don't even do part. They might split it up. So
Hmm.
so if you're trying to do something where it's encompassing the whole thing, then for me, definitely getting instructor-led training is good because it's focused on the content for the exam.
Yeah.
So you're getting a lot more. Okay, these are the things. This is what I need to know to pass exam. And you obviously you're going to learn something through that process.
Sure. Yeah. I did a course which was as far as I remember was like the intro to or the preparation for the DA 100 the company offered it. So I
Yeah,
was like, yeah, okay, why not? And it was interesting for sure. I learned a
yeah,
couple of things. Um, I think a lot of people like me who have never learned in a formal way, they kind of taught
mm,
themselves, and there have those like strange knowledge gaps, things that you
yeah,
would know if you'd ever actually had done like a formal course. So it was interesting to kind of fill in a
yeah.
one or two of those gaps. There are still hundreds more out there, I'm sure.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
so yeah, I think in general, it's always good to do a training because you're going to touch on things you
Yeah,
would never think of. Otherwise, it's just kind of like
yeah,
you go where the project leads you, or where something,
yeah,
oh, that looks interesting, that looks interesting. So formal learning, I suppose,
yeah,
is always good in that way. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And I was going to bring this up because Jeff has two jobs. If you get good at Power and Dax, what's stopping you getting two jobs whilst working from home? If you're efficient, how do you even know? Yeah, I get scared of the taxation on the second job.
Yeah.
No, that's not the only reason why. If anyone from my company ever watches this, you could. I've heard people are doing it, right? I've heard that people are getting two jobs, and not firsthand. I don't know anyone firsthand, but you read these articles and about this person with two jobs, and
Yeah.
I always wonder: I wonder if there are any people out there who have two jobs but are from like working for like rival companies, like I'm not sure,
Yeah,
Google and Microsoft or something. I wonder if anyone's doing that.
yeah, yeah. It
Be
wouldn't
interesting.
surprise me.
No, I
Yeah,
wouldn't be
yeah. I
surprised me
mean,
either.
yeah. I mean, being a consultant, you often do have almost multiple jobs. You
Yeah,
got
sure, true.
working for customer A, customer B. They're in finance. They
Yeah.
in say manufacturing, and then you trying to manage your day, and you literally doing two jobs, spending 12,
Hmm.
16 hour days. But after a while, that just it doesn't cut it.
Is a lot of your life signing NDAs for the different companies that you work for, so you don't?
Oh, yeah, I've signed so
Yeah,
many. And they're like, oh, you're going to have to sign an NDA. I'm like, yeah, send it over. I don't know how many of these I've signed. I'm not interested in, telling
yeah,
anyone else what you do. For me, a number is just a number. I don't like contextualize the number and go, oh,
yeah,
wow, they making, or
yeah,
it's just, is
yeah.
the number right? That's my key thing. For your
Writing it
data,
down on your secret notepad. It's. I mean, I've
yeah,
never done any consultancy work, but I do agree. I think it's if interesting. I understand, of course, the need for data privacy and restricting access to certain
yeah,
figures, but you think people quite often overestimate how much people actually care.
yeah,
It's data, it's numbers. I want to do cool stuff with it.
yeah,
I want to do some nice
yeah,
analysis with it, but it's not like I go home at the end of the day and remember any of those numbers. They're all they're all on my
yeah,
computer. I don't care.
yeah. It's just
It's
another
just
number.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I used to work for in a bookies a betting office.
yeah, yep,
It's one of the,
yep,
when I was a student. It was a really fun job back then.
yeah,
Very fast, working with lots of money, and it's always this. It's like, oh, they have to make sure, like, very very careful that at the end of the day, no one's taking any money. But you get
yeah,
thousands and thousands of back then pounds
yeah,
passing through your hands like every hour, but it's just bits of
yeah.
paper.
Wow.
It's just
Yeah,
paper, and
yeah.
you don't think of it as money. I remember. I think
No.
the biggest bet that I ever took was someone put on like a £20,000 bet cash. They had me like a wad of twenty
Oh,
thousand pounds for
oh,
Tiger Woods to win some golf tournament. This is back in the day when Tiger Woods was winning stuff, not crashing cars and
yeah, yeah,
whatnot. He didn't
yeah.
win either, by the way. And
Oh,
I just remember this some handing me this pile of money, and I really thought it was a joke at first. He walked up the count and he
yeah,
said, "Oh, can I have 20 grand on Tiger Woods to win that?" And I literally laughed at him. I laughed in his face because I thought he was
yeah,
joking.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
looked at
yeah.
him and I was like, "Oh, this guy's not joking." Gets out this
Yeah,
wad of money.
oh,
Yeah,
mate, yeah,
good times.
that's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
So yeah, it's
definitely.
just no matter what you're working with, it's just either numbers or paper, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's just another thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Right, mate.
yeah,
It's been over 45 minutes. That was a really interesting conversation there. About some really cool questions regarding interviews and jobs, and well, all the questions of interest, and they're always interesting. And
yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
say thank you for joining, and thank you very much for wearing your awesome onesie. It made
No
it
worries.
so much more special.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
of course, the little cow. Does the cow have a name, by the way, or is it called Formu?
no,
No, it hasn't
it's
got like
called
a.
full moon.
No,
Yeah. No, I've just left it as a car, I guess.
that's fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much. It was awesome. Really great chat.
Yeah.
Really
Thanks.
enjoyed
Awesome.
learning lots from you. For the
Cool.
comments, for the questions, as ever.
Yeah, that's good.
You're all wonderful people, and I appreciate you joining. And yeah. Oh, let's take that one final question. How do we know if he has the pants on? You don't have to answer that if you don't want to.
Because it's a onesie, you can only wear it one way. You can't not have the pants on.
That's very. You'd actually have to cut off the pants to not wear the pants, and that would be very worrying if you did that. So that's a very good
Yeah.
answer. The final question, everyone.
Okay.
It was awesome. Take care, and of course, back next Thursday. Gilbert, thank you,
Thanks, Ben.
and goodbye,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.